Now, you can argue we shouldn't have been there in the first place, and if we want to get out, we can just get out. I think those are perfectly legit arguments to have, but I think there's also a legit argument to have, if you break it, do you have any responsibility to fix it? All right, everybody.
So, wait a second, Dave. That's the clip you chose to open this video with? That's the BAM moment from this 10-minute video that you made? That is your best point? Wow, this is gonna be a long and hard one, people. And that's not innuendo. Alright, so what Dave was talking about there was the Syria conflict we got going on right now. I'm sure most of you have heard about this. If you haven't heard about it yet, Trump withdrew our troops from northern Syria in an area where they were basically protecting the Kurds. If you don't know who the Kurds are, they're basically the Jews of the modern day. They're a homeless ethnic group. They are an ethnic group without a nation state. So they are located in all parts of the Middle East. Basically in the, the big area where Syria, Iraq, Turkey, and all these countries connect. They live there spread out throughout those nations. Now, why do we have troops stationed there, protecting them? Well, you see, Turkey has a beef with them. Now, I'm going to state this real quick before I keep going. I am not the best with foreign policy. I am new to it, but I know when what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And I'm sorry, but most of the world has got foreign policy wrong. Not most of the world, I'm sorry. Most of the common folk. Because most competent leaders of democratic nations get it. But the real point I'm trying to make here is that even though I am a layman in terms when it comes to foreign policy and stuff, I get it. And most people, like I just said, don't seem to get it. A lot of people don't want us involved in foreign affairs, but when there's dictators and leaders that are out to harm and control what's going on in the world and genocide groups of people, things have to be done. And we can get into that a little more later. I don't want to get sidetracked here. Let's continue with the point of this video. So Turkey, who seems to have a thing with genocide, have a problem with the Kurds. So we're there as a way to protect the Kurds from them as a deterrent. And also because the Kurds have helped us in countless wars, in countless operations, including, namely, helping us take down ISIS. Okay? The Kurds in Syria are jailing, I should say, not housing, jailing about 60,000 ISIS members. So I'd say I think that's a pretty important area to keep secure. But no, President Trump doesn't think so. President Trump withdrew our forces from the area. People said, oh no, this is not a good move. People who understand foreign policy are like, this is a terrible move because what's going to happen is the Turks are going to invade and start killing the Kurds. By the way, before I go any further, mysteriously Trump met up with Erdogan about a day or two before. Anyway, so people said this is bad, the Kurds are going to get attacked, and this is no good. What happens about a day or two later? Well, there were Turkish airstrikes on the Kurdish-controlled Samelka border crossing between Syria and Iraq. Basically, everyone predicted it, knew it was going to happen, and it happened. What did Trump say before this happened? Oh, don't worry. If they do anything, there'll be heavy sanctions. What's the fucking point of sanctions, you jackass? If you just had troops there. You could have avoided this by keeping the troops there. But no, we need our troops home because we're fighting endless wars. Yes, assholes, the fight against ISIS is endless. If a motherfucker in 3,000 years pops up and decides he's ISIS, you're going to fucking jail, bitch. How hard is this for you fucking people to understand? If Erdogan's fucking great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkid decides he's gonna attack the Kurds and possibly cause the release of 60,000 ISIS members, yes, something has to be done. How is this lost on people? So asshole Trump said he would issue sanctions, and the airstrikes are still occurring. Here's some footage of people trying to escape Syria already.
We're here on the road out of the town of Ras Al Ain, and as you can see, it is a chaotic situation. The streets, roads just choked full of cars filled with families desperate to get out of here. None of them understanding exactly what is going on, what has happened, what the intention of this Turkish military strikes are. We saw at least 6 big plumes of black smoke with our own eyes, at least one building that appeared to be on fire. And these people are now fleeing to try to get to safety, but they don't know exactly where safety might be. And let's just take a talk and chat to these people quickly. Assalamu alaikum, marhaba, كيفكن؟ من وينكن؟ إيه أنا آسفة أكيد. خايفين يعني? Are you afraid? They're saying that they're frightened for the children, and you can imagine why. Look at the sky, it's thick with black smoke. There have been strikes for the last couple of hours. كم انفجارات كان؟ كتير. So they're saying there were many different explosions. من القصف ومن الطيارة؟ من القصف. She's saying there were many explosions. It was coming from shelling, artillery. They're now trying to get out. بتعرفي وين تروحي هلا؟ And they don't know where they're going or where they might be able to sleep tonight. Clarissa Ward, CNN, outside Ras Al Ain, Syria.
Then Trump does this god-awful press conference about the whole situation and complains that countries from the EU didn't want to take back some of the prisoners from there that came from their countries and all this shit. Who even knows if any of that shit is true or not? I don't fucking believe a word Trump says, but he sounds so fucking stupid. He literally says that we should let Russia take care of these problems and not us. Are you fucking crazy? How fucking dumb is this asshole? Yeah, let Russia take care of the world policing. You fucking people are stupid if you think that's a good idea. You know, people are gonna say, we shouldn't be policing the world. That's not our job. No, I'm sorry. As a democratic nation, it is our job. It's the job of every democratic nation on the fucking entire planet to make sure that the world is not policed by the likes of Putin or Kim Jong-un or anyone like that. Here, listen to this bumbling asshat.
In the meantime, we've been watching over a lot with the Kurds, watching over a lot of prisoners, some very bad people. A few in particular very bad, really bad. And some of those people we've already taken. We've taken them out. They should go back, by the way. They should go back to Europe. Many of them came from Europe, but they should go back to Germany, to France, I spoke with Boris Johnson, a couple to UK, some to UK, actually, but they came from various parts of Europe. They didn't come from our country, and we did them a big favor, and we said to France, we said to Germany, we said to various countries in Europe, we'd like you to take your people back. Well, we don't want them. How about you taking them? I said, we don't want them either. Nobody wants them. They're bad, but somebody has to watch over them. I said, look, we did you a big favor. You take your people back. You take them back. They're citizens in many cases of those countries, of France, Germany. They didn't want to take them back. I gave them one chance. I gave them another chance. I gave them a third chance, and I even gave them a fourth chance. They didn't want to take them back. Not that I blame them too much. They're used to this with the United States, taking advantage of the United States, whether it's on trade or NATO. They take advantage of the United States. But we think that maybe the Kurds will do a job, and if not the Kurds, we think Turkey will do a job. But we have thousands of people, thousands. I don't know if you know that. We have thousands of captured fighters and thousands and tens of thousands of family members. And we did a big favor to a lot of countries, and those countries didn't want to take them back. So that's the way it goes. Steve?
These ISIS fighters escape and pose a threat elsewhere.
Well, they're going to be escaping to Europe. That's where they want to go. They want to go back to their homes, but Europe didn't want them from us. We could have given it to them. They could have had trials. They could have done whatever they wanted. But as usual, it's not reciprocal. You know my favorite word, reciprocal. That's all I want. I don't want an edge. I just want reciprocal. And it's not reciprocal, Steve. It's not a fair deal for the United States. And when President Obama took the PKK, you know, when they bring in PKK, that's a tough deal because that's been a mortal enemy of Turkey. So when you bring them into a partnership, it's a tough situation because it's tough for Turkey. It's probably tough for them. They've hated each other for many, many years, for hundreds of years. I mean, it's amazing when you look at history. and you look at culture, but you look at the length of the time and the fighting for so long. So we imposed ourselves into it. And look, I've said it. I said it just yesterday. The single worst country, the United States, if you take a look at what we're doing with countries and the relationships we have with countries, but maybe putting it a different way, the worst mistake that the United States has ever made, in my opinion, was going into the Middle East. It's a quagmire. We're up to close to $8 trillion, and we're bringing our folks back home. We have great, talented military. We're bringing them back home. Our military has never been stronger, but we're now acting as police. We're policing areas. We're doing jobs that other countries should be doing. We're doing jobs, frankly, that Europe should be doing. We're doing jobs that Russia should be doing, that Iran should be doing, that Iraq, Turkey, Syria should be doing. They should be doing this. We shouldn't be doing it. We're 7,000 miles away.
And then the next day, you got Erdogan threatening the EU and telling them, if you guys try and label Turkey's military incursion as an occupation, I'm gonna let 3 million people into your continent. I'm just gonna send these Syrian refugees right into Europe.
Ey Avrupa Birliği! Kendinize gelin. Bak yine söylüyorum. Bizim şu andaki operasyonumuzu bir işgal hareketi diye nitelendirmeye çalışırsanız işimiz kolay. Kapıları açarız. 3,6 milyon mülteciyi sizlere göndeririz.
What needs to happen is Erdogan needs a fucking stick up his ass just like Gaddafi. So Erdogan wants to threaten to send Syrian refugees into Europe. How about we threaten to send 3 million missiles right up your fucking ass? Kick Turkey out of NATO immediate. Get them the fuck out so they can officially be a goddamn enemy of democracy. So basically Trump has just committed one of the worst fucking baffles in American military history. The Kurds are our fucking allies and they should be backed up by us. They helped take out ISIS for fuck's sake. I think they've earned their fucking keep. And instead we got this guy basically who's gonna fucking genocide these people if nothing's done. I think other countries might actually get involved and thank goodness for that. But wow, does it make us look terrible. Even Israel's calling us out on it. One of our greatest allies. Have our back on everything. Netanyahu said Israel strongly condemns the Turkish invasion of the Kurdish areas in Syria and warns against the ethnic cleansing of the Kurds by Turkey and its proxies. Israel is prepared to extend humanitarian assistance to the gallant Kurdish people. And good for them. There was another tweet I had seen, I can't find it now, but it was either from Netanyahu's Twitter or someone else related to Israeli government saying how basically America fucked up. And we did. I just hope that once Trump is out of office, that our allies realize that we had the fucking most horrible president ever, especially when it comes to foreign policy. This is a complete foreign policy disaster, and the repercussions are gonna be long. They're gonna be going on for years. Let's hope America can save some fucking face once Trump is out of office, be it 1 year or 5. Anyway, back to our resident gay asshat liberal, whatever the fuck he likes to call himself nowadays, Dave Rubin. I just wanted to get you up to speed before I get into Dave Rubin's vomit-inducing video about this whole Turkey, Kurdish, Syria situation. Pardon if I happen to repeat anything I've already said in this part of the video. I didn't know I was going to get into such a long rant at the beginning.
All right, everybody, a little impromptu direct message today. As you probably heard, Trump announced yesterday that he is pulling our troops out of Syria. Now, this basically seems like it should come off as a positive thing, but I don't know if you know about this, but we live in a very polarized political world these days, and often people who would have said one thing 3 years ago are saying very different things these days, and it's just such a freaking mess, especially online, where everyone pretends they're an expert in everything. Everyone who got everything wrong 5 years ago, 10 years ago, knows exactly how to do everything now. People that were the architects of the Iraq War, George W. Bush's Iraq War, which most people would agree was a mistake or at least a foreign policy blunder, are now saying exactly what we should do this time in Syria. So I just wanted to back up, clean up a little bit of this. I am obviously, me, myself, not an absolute foreign policy expert, but I want to just lay out a little bit of the chronology of what happened and just sort of what potentially our responsibilities are for the region, if we have any, and just see how this sort of fits in the larger context of political conversations that we've been having on this show.
All right, Dave, you're not an expert, and like I said, neither am I, but you are an idiot on this topic. So Dave's initial thought on the whole thing was, oh, Trump's pulling the troops, this should be a good thing. Why? See, right there, it shows you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You have no understanding of the greater big picture here. You honestly probably don't even know why we were there. You just know that war bad, so let's bring the troops home. And he goes on to flap about how, oh, well, we're living in a crazy, polarized political world, and that's why now it's not so easy to just be like, hey, that's a great thing. First of all, a lot more people on the political spectrum than I thought were on point with this whole situation. I saw a lot of people that I didn't expect to be on the right side of it, to be on the right side of it. They're only half retarded, because the reason I thought this is because these were non-interventionist type people too. They don't want to be involved, they don't think we should be there, but at least they get that since we're there, it's good that we stay there. Or at least in this scenario where we're basically a deterrent from Turkey attacking the Kurds. I'm sure in other scenarios they wouldn't be willing to take that stance. Now Dave's funny because he talks about how people who were championing this 5 years ago now think the other way and they're totally right about it now. But it's funny because Dave was one of these people that was against the war, and he was wrong about it when he was on the left, and he's wrong about it now. Funny how that works, Dave. You shifted your position on the political spectrum, but you're still wrong on this conflict. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that funny how that happens? And no, the Iraq war wasn't a foreign policy blunder. Leaving it was. Alright, let's get to the meat of this video.
So first off, I just want to be very, very clear that about 5 years ago when we went into Syria in the first place, and you may remember, this is when every day on YouTube there was another horrific ISIS video and beheadings and burning human beings alive and just beyond awful stuff. I mean, I'm sure you saw the videos, I saw them, just horrific stuff that ISIS was doing. That we decided that, well, basically Obama was the president at the time, and basically he laid out a red line that if Assad used gas on his own people, or chemical weapons on his own people, that we were going to go into Syria. That happened, and then we didn't go in. And then there was this constant question of who are actually the good guys. Are the good guys the rebels who are fighting Assad? Then there's ISIS. Assad's attacking some of these people. And then there are also the Kurds. I'll get more into that in just a sec. But I just want to be very clear that about 5 years ago when this was all happening, and I was a big lefty, I was a progressive, I was on the Young Turks network, you can find videos, multiple videos of me saying that I did not want America to be involved at all. My feeling was that after several blunders that we've made in the region, that sometimes other countries have to step in and do things. So if Syria is a big freaking mess and there's a humanitarian crisis there, well, that some of the countries on their borders, like Saudi Arabia, like Turkey, are going to have to step in and figure out how to help people, and that we can't always do everything.
Well, guess what, Dave? You were an idiot then, and you're an idiot now. That's something that hasn't changed. You were always a fucking idiot. If you think leaving that shit up to Turkey and Saudi Arabia and Syria, who are all dictators and massacre their own fucking people and don't care about who they kill indiscriminately, then you're a bigger fucking idiot than Dave. You're leaving the fate of other countries up to dictators? Leaving it up to Bashar the Butcher, who killed like over 500,000 of his own people. Leaving it up to Erdogan, who'd love to start his own caliphate. Leaving it up to Saudi Arabia, who, although are our allies, are still disgusting in their own right and are violators of human rights. And if it weren't for Iran, Russia, and Syria, and Turkey, and places like this, they'd be next on the list of fucking the place to take care of. Because if there's one thing about Saudi Arabia, at least they play ball. We say something, and they kinda listen.
If anything, I would have been for some sort of minor, I think this is exactly what I said, I would have been for some sort of minor thing where it wouldn't have been a military intervention, but some sort of humanitarian corridor where we would have helped secure like a safe area for refugees within the country itself. But that's it. I didn't want to go in. It's really weird now because now you're seeing plenty of people who did want to go in now saying we can't leave. And it's like, then what happened to all of the people who are anti-war? There used to be this really strong anti-war left. And one of the things that Trump has done is that whenever Trump says anything, the people that hate him automatically take the reverse position. So Trump says, and he ran on this, I don't want war, we can't be the world's police, all of those things, most of which, especially from my libertarian side, I agree with. Well, then we're pulling out, and then people are saying, well, no, now it's going to go to hell in a handbasket, and we can't pull out, and all that other stuff, knowing full well that for the people on the left, if this was Obama or a Democrat president, you'd be all about pulling out. I'm trying not to make a pull-out joke there, but that's sort of where we're at with that.
Dave, any joke you make, you should pull out of, because you're not going to get a laugh. You're not funny, dude. Now, Dave tries to make this a partisan thing and saying now, like, oh, well, the people who are against it are only against it because it's Trump. No, they're against it because they fucking get that we can't just leave these fucking people stranded. And that's how stupid you are. This is not war. We're stationed there as a deterrent. We weren't fighting anyone in the area. So we're not pulling out of a war. But now there's a fucking war. And here's something. We shouldn't have pulled out of Iraq. For anyone who wants to say it failed, it's because we pulled out. These issues are not fucking 2-year deals. These are situations that are going to take decades to improve on. This is a long-term deal. This ain't no in and out shit, okay? The fight for democracy is ongoing. As long as there's enemies of democracy and human rights, there will be war. So Dave's just being a dick trying to, make this the left is a bunch of asshole things. This has nothing to fucking do with left and right, okay? Because both sides of the fucking political spectrum, both extremes of the political spectrum are anti-war. They want everyone else to take care of the world's problems except for the United States. Even worse, they want to leave it up to the dictators in the area. Holy fucking shit. I'm fucking baffled. Haven't we learned? Do I have to actually bring it back to Hitler? Is Dave Rubin and all these fucking asshats gonna make me actually bring it back to Hitler? Do we not remember what happens when we don't take care of the world's problems? Oh, you get a guy who takes over half of fucking Europe and kills millions of people. That's what happens when America and allied forces do not get involved. Oh, we shouldn't have to worry about their problems. Let them deal with their problems. Yeah, once they deal with their own problems and get fucked, it moves on to a closer country, and then to the next closer country, until eventually, it's our fucking problem anyway. So yeah, let's just leave it up to them.
Now, there's some interesting things here because the libertarians right now are very, very for this move. Not every libertarian, but generally speaking, libertarians are for this because they don't want us using our foreign power overseas, right? They have more of an isolationist policy. Now, I generally agree with that, but the question is, once we've done something, once we've gone into a country and done things, do we have any responsibility to stay there and make sure that there's a peaceful transition to whatever comes next? So you could look at this in a context of Iraq. Now, most people would agree, not everybody, but most people would agree that the Iraq war was a mistake, as I said before. That being said, after a certain period of time, it actually started to work. Iraq was having free and fair elections. You may remember those videos of people with paint on their thumbs that had finally voted. Then Obama came in. He ran very against the Iraq war, right? That was actually one of the things that separated him from Hillary. The first time that Obama was running, he was saying we've got to get out now. Hillary was saying we have to take a little more time. Obama kept his promise. We pulled out immediately. They set a date, they pulled out. And basically since then, Iraq has collapsed because we didn't have enough of the machinery on the ground to facilitate them furthering democracy.
Of course we have a responsibility to stay there, Dave. You can't just leave it in shambles. Are you fucking retarded? Of course that's the right thing to do. Now, as for Hillary and Obama, Hillary was fucking right. Of course she was fucking right. And Obama, I don't even think Obama wanted to do that. I think he ran on it because he knew he'd get elected. And I think he was hesitant. That's why it took him so long to get the troops out of there. I think he had people telling him, yo, this is not going to be good. But the reason, I think, think he did it and ran on that shit is because of the American people. The dumbass American people, the ISO-cuck, libertarians, whoever else they are, whatever fucking part of the spectrum you're on, and you're an ISO-cuck who doesn't want to go to war. Let's not get involved in other people's problems, which will eventually become our problems. Let's not do it because war bad. Worry about America first. We don't need the fucking president to worry about the inside of the country. We got fucking Congress for that. That's why he's the commander-in-chief, not the commander of Congress. So yeah, Iraq has been on a downfall ever since because we should have stayed there longer. We should have been there at least 20, 30, 40 fucking years. Stay there until it's necessary. Because now you have a civil war starting again in Iraq, basically. Because like Dave said, we didn't have the right machinery set up. I guess that's the word he used. So yes, it's as simple as that.
Now, you can argue we shouldn't have been there in the first place, and if we want to get out, we can just get out. I think those are perfectly legit arguments to have, but I think it's also a legit argument to have, if you break it, do you have any responsibility to fix it?
So that was the zinger Dave opened up with. That both arguments are legitimate. How the fuck are they both legitimate, you idiot? We shouldn't have been there in the first place, so if we want out, just get out. Yeah, that's absolutely fucking retarded. And if we're there, we have to stay to fix it. Yes, that's completely the right thing. And even if you thought the other way, they both can't be legitimate arguments. They're diametrically opposed. You're a fucking moron, Dave. See, this is the centrist shit that Dave pulls. I hate when people bitch about centrists because there's two meanings to centrist. There are basically people in the middle of the political spectrum, and then there's the centrist, the fence sitter. And that's what the fuck Dave is, basically. And also, Dave, you think we broke Iraq and Syria, and now we have to fix it? Holy fucking shit, what a take on that. Syria and Iraq have been broken for years. They're fucking being run by goddamn dictators that have massacred their own people. Like I said before, Assad, over 500,000 of his own civilians. Saddam Hussein killed over 1 million of his own people. Fuck these countries. They don't deserve to be running their countries. They don't deserve to have that type of government in power. You think that's a well-running machine because people were kept in check? Fuck you, dude. So before I get back into this video, I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to skip about 3 minutes of it because it's just Dave flapping, and he actually gets into the main point of the video, which is the Kurds. He explains what their situation is and why it's a terrible thing, and then goes on some shit about the left. It's the left wants this now and the right wants this. Stupid nonsense. And it takes some basically 9 minutes of this 10-minute video to get to his whole point about how he feels about the situation because he's such a fence-sitting fucking... I was gonna say the F word, not fucking, the other one, but I realize, oh no, Dave is an F word, so if I say it, I'm gonna have a problem. I might get flagged. But Dave is such an utter coward that he finally gets to his point after 9 minutes, and he basically is just kissing the ass of Trump. I don't know why. I don't know what his infatuation is with Trump. Don't know why Trump gets such a pass from this guy, even though he was gonna hold his feet to the fire. But he basically seems like a fucking 3-year-old child who's fascinated and entertained by some ogre. Just chuckling at his tweet. Oh, this is a great trolling tweet, bro. He knows how to troll, man. Ooh. Anyway, let's get to it before I go out of my mind.
Anyway, so you've got the anti-war left that has sort of disappeared because they just want to go against Trump and Trump wants out. You've got the libertarians basically saying we shouldn't have been there in the first place. We got to go regardless of the consequences. And then you've got, say, maybe the more neocons or conservatives saying we should have went, or even if we shouldn't have went in the first place or shouldn't have gone in the first place, we do have some responsibility to make sure that basically the Kurds don't get slaughtered. I think these are all interesting arguments to have. I fall more on the side that we have to leave, right? We can't just be there forever. I like sort of what, I think Trump actually tweeted this. I'm going to pull it up for just a sec. There was something that actually did make sense there. So a couple things that Trump said. He said we were supposed to be there for 30 days and with no aim in sight. I said I was going to end these things. That seems legit. And then here's his, this is quite a tweet by Trump. As I have stated strongly before, and just to reiterate, if Turkey does anything that I, in my great and unmatched wisdom, consider to be off limits, I will totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. I've done before. I, in my great and unmatched wisdom. All right, so putting aside Trump's premier trolling there, it's obviously a nutty statement. But what he's saying is, Turkey, we're going to leave if you start killing the Kurds and invading Syria to kill more of them or take land or something like that. We will do something. So that basically seems right. Again, it's giving too much power to the executive branch, right? It's giving too much power to the presidential branch. This should be done by Congress. And all right. So that's sort of where we're at.
So basically, Dave agrees with Trump. Dave always agrees with Trump for some reason. He doesn't disagree with him on anything, or if he actually does, he's like, oh, that's something we could talk about at some time, but I'm not going to talk about it now, you know, or I think it's wrong, but this is more important. The left, bro, the left. And what Trump said is fucking asinine. Well, if you attack them, I'm going to cripple your economy. How about stay there and don't fucking let them attack? How about that? No, that would be the simple, easy, intelligent, and obvious thing to do. It's just so fucking sad to sit here and watch this guy fawn over Trump. Oh, he did a great trolling job there, bro. And suck up to everything he fucking says. What a fucking pussy this guy is. And this video's not just for Dave Rubin. This video's for all the fucking ISO cucks out there that don't fucking get it. This is for all the American people that just think war bad, come home troops. This is basically for everyone who doesn't get it. And if you still don't get it after this video, I guess you never will, and I'm sorry. You can go on hating me all you want and unsubscribe or whatever the fuck it is you want to do. But it's just fucking crazy how this guy, people actually listen to this fucking guy, and it's fucking sad. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with some quotes from the grave. Christopher fucking Hitchens. Even though he's dead, he's still right from beyond the fucking grave. I'm gonna leave you a clip of him talking about the Kurdish people and how it's our duty to protect them. Long live Hitch and long live the Kurds, and fuck Dave Rubin and fuck all you ISO cucks. Good night.
Kurdish people whose emancipation, especially in the 3 northern provinces of Iraq, has been the most spectacular success of the regime change policy. For those who don't know about this at all, if I can say a word on their behalf, the Kurds are the largest stateless minority in the Middle East. In fact, they're the largest stateless people in the world. There's no firm estimate of their population. It's probably between 26 and 30 million, living in Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria, roughly where that border converges. Uncomfortable place to live geopolitically, but they've been there for a very long time. And have been dispossessed and, as you know, not long ago subjected to an attempted genocide by Saddam Hussein involving the use of weapons of mass destruction, and are beginning to find their feet as a minority and to express themselves and achieve a version of self-government, which I think is a very worthwhile cause and one that should be better known and should have more support in the West. So I'm very proud to wear their flag and be their friend.
Turkey. Do you think they'll ever be ready to join the EU?
No, I don't now. Sorry, if I would have once said that I looked forward, not without misgiving, to Turkish membership of the European Union, and certainly was against some of the reasons given for opposing it, such as by His Holiness the Pope at one stage, who said that openly that a country that had Muslim culture was by definition not European. That's not true, or we better hope it's not true, say, of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Kosovo, which we liberated from an attempt at their extirpation by Christian fascists, and something I'm very proud of having advocated. But the problem with Turkey, I think, is a somewhat different one. At least under its new leadership, it's already becoming the originator of unusual demands on the European family of nations. For example, at a NATO meeting held not very long ago, where it had been decided that all the members of NATO wanted as their next spokesman Anders Rasmussen of Denmark. It had been agreed. At the last minute, the Turks veto it and say we cannot have as head of NATO someone who isn't willing to censor his own press, something Danish law forbids, in the matter of some cartoons in a paper in Jutland. Well, this is unacceptable. That's how they behave before they're in Europe. I don't like to think how they would behave when in. So a friend of mine has a very rough way of putting this, but it's, once I've said it, you won't be able to forget it either. He said, when did you last read a report from Istanbul that didn't describe Turkey as a bridge between East and West? You can't not read it, especially if it's about Istanbul. Orhan Pamuk does it. His novels are all about it. Turkish intellectuals and journalists begin their addresses to Western think tanks that way. Said my friend, it's not a bridge, it's a tunnel. Now forget that. European Union's borders will be with Iran and Iraq, actually with some of the better bits of Iraq, northern Kurdish autonomous Iraq, but we don't know for sure what can be imposed or inflicted on that area too in the future. It's not inspiring.